This is your man T and allcandy.com. We back in the dungeon. We leaving them on the wet, as you already know. This one right here, 1970 Duece in the quarter. We got this from my man Marcus out of Yazoo, Mississippi. We using the Wet Plus. On my candies, I always like the Wet Plus. The Wet Plus has got the highest solid content between the two clears, but when you buy the candy, we always send you 2 gallons of clear. We send you a Wet Plus, and then we send you a gallon of the Wet. You get one of each, because what I like doing is I actually like double clearing the car. So after putting the candy on, I'll put 3 wet coats of the Wet Plus. Then I come back, wet sand it, and then come back with the wet over the top for the re-clear. Just to give you the update too on the Wet, the Wet Plus, those are the only 2 that we have twice the standard amount of UV protection. There's a standard amount that all manufacturers have to put in their clear when it comes down to UV. UV protection is what protects your paint job from the sun. All right, and what we've got here exclusively with with Autobahn is the Wet and Wet Plus are the only 2. Wet and Wet Plus are the only 2 with the 2 times UV protection. Since we've got our candies are mixed with UV protection also, plus our clear has twice the UV protection. The Wet and Wet Plus have twice the UV protection than, I should say just twice the standard amount that all clears are supposed to have in. We've got twice that amount in our clear for a much affordable price. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break away and we're gonna go outside with it so you can see what it looks like in the sunlight. 1970 Duece in the quarter Buick. This is man 10 all candy. We outside the dungeon. Showing you what that Duece in the quarter looks like. Custom color we ended up coming up with. Of course, we got the Wet Plus. As I tell everybody who calls me, you want to go with the Wet Plus and then the Wet. As we sell in those 2-gallon bundle packages for a car this size, you're going to need that 2-gallon bundle. All them full-size cars, box Chevys, Caprices, you're going to need that 2-gallon bundle is what you're going to need. You can get that online at allcandy.com. or go directly to the wet.com. For those who don't know, Duece in a quarter, Buick 225 Electra convertible. This has got the Wet Plus on it. You can always go online, buy the clear. And it also has all candy colors and glowing bases. That's why you're looking at this tremendous flop. That's why you see it just glowing, just sitting here inside the paint booth, how it's just hitting. It's because it's got All candy colors and glowing basics. You can also find that online. Go to thewetwet.com, go to allcandy.com, click on the link where it says shop online now, and you'll see the product. Give me a call, 318-918-0331 if you have any technical questions. This right here for people, because I get a lot more customers who have full-size cars. Box Chevys, Bubble Chevys, Crown Vics, STS Cadillacs, anything, 72 Dunks, 73, 67s, Cadillacs, it doesn't matter. All of those box Chevys, Bubble Chevy, you're going to need the 2-gallon bundle. And phenomenal price. You actually save over $300 some. And that comes with the candy, the base, the clear, 2 gallons of clear, just 2 gallons of everything. 2 gallons of candy, 2 gallons of clear, the base, including shipping. We ship out everything FedEx ground or FedEx freight. Big boy Duece and a quarter. Still haven't wet sanded and buffed it. Just starting to mess with it a little bit. But as you can see, like I tell all you guys, it holds the shine. If you've got a clean paint booth, if you got a booth that, here it is, doesn't leave trash on the finish, or the light dust particles as they start to settle, then guess what? You don't have to buff. But once you cut it, and you buff it, it'll look like a piece of glass. As I say, here I started working on this side a little bit, cutting and buffing. So all this did was clean it all up. And on this side I hadn't even touched it. But it's still wet, like I'm telling you. It's still shiny. It's still glassy looking. But anyway, this is 10, all candy. Shouts out to my man Vine over there, Texan Wire Wheels. We got Paul Wall. He riding the wet. But we had to go and knock this one on out, get this out of the way. And it's a special custom color that we had to come up with to match the seats. We'll show you that a little bit later. Once we get the car all the way ready, cleaned up, I'll show you the full video of it all together.